is possible if you know your emotions and how to handle them. Dr. Carmen Roman will share with you in an engaging way the current psychology by sharing herself or interviewing experts who will inspire you. Learn how to live a life of fullness and how to recover your emotional harmony with Dr. Roman. Welcome to Emotions in Harmony.
Hello, amigos in harmony. How are you? I am recording this episode after the interview with Lourdes Gomez Paz, which is a Mexican psychologist, and I had the fortune to enjoy the interview with her. So she's really, really busy at this moment, and we couldn't wait for her schedule to clear up so I can bring you the English episode of the English part of it. So what I am going to do is I am going to take the topic that we had with her. I am going to do a combination between what we talk in the interview with her and what I know about the topic. Yeah. So I am going to introduce her and her credentials so you know about a little bit more about Lourdes. And if you speak Spanish, really go back to the last episode and listen to her or to the last video and see her interview. It's just a pleasure always to talk to Lourdes and to listen what she has to say. She's always so fresh and so much fun to be around with. So that's it. I am going to introduce her and let's get into the topic. Today's topic is about how to cultivate this serenity and joy and happiness that we wish for all of us, but especially we wish for children when they are growing up, and we wish we had those skills so they can have those skills at early age. I really wish that I had mindfulness practices classes in elementary and kindergarten. And now most schools are getting into. They are learning and they are appreciating more and more what those mean. In the United States, and the good news, what Lourdes told us, is that also in Mexico, the Department of Education in Mexico has approved the company that she works for to come and teach in the high schools, at least for now. Wow, that's amazing. So let me tell you about Lourdes. Lourdes studies psychology at the Institute of Technology for Higher Studies, which is the ITESO in Guadalajara. It's a Jesuit university. She collaborated with civil organizations and she worked as a teacher from preschool to university. She was also the program coordinator of the prevention of sexual abuse. It's called in Spanish Fundación Paz, and she's the co-author of manuals of prevention of child abuse in Guadalajara. She has participated in research and discussion groups on issues of relevance to children and young people about sexuality, emotions, and HIV, AIDS. Counseling. She is counselor. She has been counselor for the Inglés Hidalgo, Colegio Inglés Hidalgo. For the last 3 years, she works with teens and their families in the middle and the high school. She's there also teacher for the prevention of child abuse. She has been practicing mindfulness for more than 9 years, and she has been teaching mindfulness for 8 years now. She's part of the work team that works Atentamente. It's called the work team in Mexico, which is a nonprofit dedicated to cultivate the learning of mindfulness. In Spanish, is Atención Plena. That company is called Atentamente. You may actually hear of that company because it has an application called Atentamente. And I hear in the United States some psychologists recommend it to their clients. So you can go and search for atentamente.mx or you can search for the application called Atentamente. Lourdes is a smiling woman. She's a bathtub singer and also a real life singer. She likes to go out in her bike. She's designer and architect of her own life. And she says, I quote, a life that has meaning and a heart. Isn't that nice? It's always nice, I told to her. Before we enter into the topic, I want to talk to you about another amazing woman that I have a lot of admiration for. And she has been working with us or giving us so much beautiful material about sexuality. That's Dr. Maoli, and I will show you. I want to show you the screen as I am talk. If you are in the audio, if you are in the podcast, just go to sexologypodcast.com and you will see her. Yeah, Dr. Maoli has been interviewing experts in the field of sexology, and she sometimes has her own episodes. I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of her podcast episodes. The last two, I just love it. Yeah. Well, she has a new one now, but I haven't heard of that news. Here is extensive massive orgasm. Wow, it's something really to listen to. And then the last two that I was telling you about is how to keep your long distance relationship hot. And the other one is, are you in relationship with a psychopath? And of course, if you go back, there is a lot of beautiful sexology and sex tips, sex and dating, the Me Too movement. She's talking about the Me Too movement, cancer and sex. You will enjoy her podcast. Go and take a look. And we go back to our topic. Yeah, we are getting into the mindfulness. A little bit that you know my credentials. If you listen frequently to this podcast, so if you go to the notes, you know my credentials and where I'm coming from. I hold 2 licenses, one in Mexico and one in California. This means I went twice or 3 times because in Mexico I needed to go for another license too. To be able to sit in front of my clients and provide the best service I can. But something I didn't tell you, and usually I don't put in my in my notes or in my presentations, is I was teaching a couple classes in the graduate programs in Mexico and in the United States as well, in California. Recently, like 2-3 years ago, I thought mindfulness and meditation for psychologists in training. That was amazing. Teaching mindfulness and meditation is one of my favorite. I personally have a meditation practice. I practice Vipassana for the last 10 years now. And it will be 10 years this August. And I really believe in every mindfulness practice. I don't believe that mindfulness is about only sitting and closing your eyes. Yeah. Actually, one of the classes that I thought was about 10 different ways, at least, of mindfulness. So I don't believe that we need to be sitting and closing the eyes. Actually, sitting and closing your eyes is not for everybody. Sometimes it's contraindicated. Sometimes you really need to check with your psychologist if this is a good idea for you to start. So not for everybody, not at every moment in your life. I will say is a good percentage of people that can benefit from mindfulness. And if this is for you, here it is. We are talking about mindfulness for children. And of course, it's for children because we can present it to children in many different ways. And children have less attachment to memories of trauma. Yeah. And we want to keep them that way. This is why we want to teach them early on mindfulness practices. So let's talk about what is mindfulness to start with. If you are not familiar with the word mindfulness, this means training our mind to be quiet, to stay in the present moment, training our body to be aware of the sensations of everything that is going on. So that's mindfulness. It means the ability to train our attention. And of course, calm our mind and clear our thoughts and not be slaves of our thoughts. So Lourdes was explaining to us that she read a research project that says that people who is more often present reported higher levels of well-being. That makes sense, yeah? She said that the research conclude a focused mind is a happy mind. That totally makes sense. People who is more often present, they have less material and less time and less energy to have anxiety because they don't live in the future, and to have depression because they don't live in the past. So a lot that you can do for your anxiety and your depression is to start training yourself to live in the present moment. And these episodes may be for you, even you are not 4 to 6 year old, even though you are an adult, because sometimes it's easier to learn the way we teach children. Isn't that true? Sometimes it's just easy. Yeah. At least this is how I learn English. I used to, and I love to listen to caricatures and programs for kindergarten children, and the English was easier and better, and they say jump, and I was learning jump, and all of this kind of fun stuff. I think it applies for many skills in life. We want to learn like a child with an attachment of a child, and we want to learn of the taking risk to learn to be in the present moment. Could you believe it's a risk? It is, actually. It is not it doesn't have to do with our well-being. It doesn't have to do it's a risk for the mind. The mind doesn't like it. It hates it. Yeah. Because our mind is sometimes like a monkey mind, like jumping. And when we say just breathe and be quiet, the mind gets irritated and it's alert because it's like, why I need to be not thinking, not saying, not producing anything. Yeah. And many of us feel that way too. So Lourdes was showing us something that is from Susan Kaiser. Susan Kaiser is an American psychologist, and she is talking about a snowball. She's showing us a snowball. Imagine one of these snowballs from Christmas. Yeah. And imagine all of these things that have like the snow inside the crystal ball. And imagine if you shake that, just shake it, and all of it gets like chaotic. Yeah. And this is how we are when our mind is not in balance. We are chaotic. We have chaotic responses. We have chaotic thoughts. Actually, Susan Kaiser did a video, a 2 minute video. It's very easy and very delightful to see. I will put it in the show notes for you. Or I will put it in the under the video in the Facebook Live. It's a 2 minute video in English, and it will explain nicely and beautifully how not being in the present moment make us chaotic, unbalanced, and reactive. This is what Susan Kaiser wants to say. For small children, we want to create specific practices. For everybody, but for small children, which is the topic today, from 4 to 6, we want to create specific practices, and we want to teach them to pay attention to their breathing. Because breathing, according to Lourdes, is the best tool we have. Breathing comes when we are born, and is the last thing when we are until our death. So it's always with us. It's a free and always accessible tool. So you can just close your eyes, and in fact, if you are driving, don't do it. But we are going to do 1 minute now. Yeah, just close your eyes. Sit in a comfortable position. Get your spine, your column straight. Take a deep and profound breath. Breathe until your belly, till you feel the air in your belly. Take your time. Just breathe. It's very important that you do it only through your nose. Just breathe. If any thoughts come to your mind, just let them pass. That's okay. You will be back in a minute. Okay? And when you are ready, you can move your fingers, your toes, your hands, open your eyes, and be back to this video or to this podcast. Isn't that nice? It really gives us a sense of peace, of relief. Actually, when I was as a graduate student, and when I was a teacher for the graduates, every class we start with a minute of silence meditation. And it really sets the tone for compassion, for mindfulness, for learning. Can you imagine that we have the time when we move from one segment to another? In shamanism, we call it segments. From one segments is those moments of your life that you are transitioning into another activity. Like, let's say you are washing the dishes and now you finish the dishes and then you are going to start cleaning the rest of the house or going to take a shower or something. And you just take time to breathe deeply 3 times. Just breathe. Can you imagine that the phone is ringing and we just take the time to really take a deep, deep breath before we answer the phone call. We will be more present and we will be more valuable for the person who is needing to talk to us. So those are practices that probably it comes with us when we are babies, when we are children, and we tend to lose mainly based in learning or unlearning, I must say, learning about how to be human in a busy life. We learn probably from our parents, from adults around, how to be busy, how to be doing all the time. But a child probably is taking their time to play around with their toys. They breathe deeply. They relax. They take life easily. And around 4 or 5, when they start going to school, and sadly, even earlier now, because they need to be in school earlier. And I am family therapist, so I start listening problems in children that they shouldn't be having. Like, why is important for a 3, 4-year-old how they look, how their color of skin, whether the parents have money for school or not. Like, why should is that important? They have the rest of their life to be worried about. So we are not in rush for them to be worried about anything. But sadly, we are more and more entering the competitions of being perfect at the school or, being productive or something. So for children, Lourdes mentioned something that I love, that is, we can teach the children to be mindful of their belly and their breathing by putting a stuffed animal in their belly and ask the child to take the little stuffed animal for a trip. Yeah, like up and down with the breathing. Try with your kids. Probably try with yourself first and then try with your kids. Bedtime probably is a good time to make that kind of game. Just put it in the belly and ask the child to put it up, put it down, like a little treat for the stuffed animal. I think children are always willing to try. Yeah. And this is something very important that Lourdes mentioned. Always teach your children these mindfulness practices when they are in good mood for it, when it's a good time. You don't want to teach your child when they are angry, upset, or doing a tantrum. That is when they are going to use their skills, but you want to insert the skills in a good time. So take your time and take actually nice time with your child and teach them. The good news and the bad news about it is that your child will learn from it and will remind you when you don't want to be reminded. Trust me, they do it. Yeah. So be prepared for that. It's very important that we lead by example. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Yeah. Lourdes mentioned John Kabat-Zinn, which is professor. He was is an American professor in the School of Medicine, and he was the creator of the Stress Reduction Clinic and the Center for Mindfulness in Medicine, Healthcare and Society. Center for Mindfulness, Medicine, Healthcare and Society in the University of Massachusetts in the medical school. He actually was trained. He was taught as mindfulness. He learned mindfulness from the Buddhist practices, and then he translated into the medicine. You can learn about his life in Wikipedia, in Amazon, in everything. It's John Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness, mentioned Lourdes, came from a religious tradition, from different ones, not only from the Buddhist practices. It comes from different religions, different ways. For example, the Jesuits, they go for the 30 days of silence. I know in January they do their silent exercises for 30 days. And you can find any. As I told you, I am Vipassana practitioner. So it came from religion, probably because the need for the spirit to be calm and quiet. But psychology borrowed through John Kabat-Zinn, of course, and many others. It started borrowing like Jack Confier. It will come to my mind, Deepak Chopra. It will come to my mind so many other authors that have been taking the mindfulness into psychology. And transpersonal psychology specializes in the use of mindfulness practices in their therapy session. This is one of the most recent, or the recent wave in psychology. So we want to incorporate the mindfulness practices, and the reason is because I really believe the power of breathing. It helps you to ease a lot of physical symptoms and a lot of emotional symptoms. If I had a headache, for instance, I go and meditate for half an hour, and it's going to be painful at the beginning. I probably will have more sensations, but after half an hour, it's way better than if I took a medicine. I personally don't take medicines unless it's extremely, unless I really need it or the doctor is like really insisting. But I personally don't take medicines. I don't have medicines at home because my mindfulness practice and my breathing exercises has helped me to stay healthy and calm and centered. And we are all human. Of course, if I am angry, you don't want to be around me if I am angry. Yeah. But we do our best by coming back to our practices. I love what my Aikido teacher said. Actually, the founder of Aikido in Japan somebody asked him, teacher, I don't think so you ever lose your center. Yeah. Why is that? Like almost kind of an inhuman quality of it. Yeah. I guess the student was asking. And the teacher responded, oh yeah, I lose it all the time. It's just that I learned to recover so fast that you don't even notice. Yeah. And that's a very beautiful answer. We lose our temper. We lose the balance in our emotions. Because it's life, because life is challenging sometimes and it's okay. We lose it. It's important to have a tool to recover it. And hopefully with the less damage possible outside. So through my years, through my experience, I have been learning to recover because I can be a very fire person. I am an 8 in the Enneagram. I am strong. So if I recover and breathe and go, even remove myself from others, I can be more balanced and go back and relate to others. So this is why it's important to teach our children, because they can be irritated so easily, but they can learn so easily. Children will learn to be present and to stay calm. They will learn faster than you. They will learn through games, to playing. And you can teach them with their dolls, their little, toys. Don't try to teach them with the phone. Yeah. More and more, some moms or some parents, I will not say only moms, some parents, or babysitters, they just give them the phone for the child not to be asking more questions, for the child not to be interrupting, for the child. You are not teaching mindfulness. You are teaching the deep meaning of it is like, don't bother me. I am too busy for you. Yeah, that's the deep. So, what Lourdes recommended for us was a book that is called The Moody Cow. The Moody Cow by Carrie Leah McLean. I will also leave that in the notes for you. The Moody Cow Meditates is another book by him. The Moody Cow learns self-compassion. It seems to be a series of these books. I was checking them out when Lourdes mentioned it. So it's very nice to get materials that helps you to teach your children. Probably you can go and find some courses for your child also. There is recently more yoga for children, more meditation for children. You can find books about meditation for children. I remember there is one spin outward or spin inward or something like that. I will also put it in the Facebook, in the notes. There are a lot of materials, and more there are more teachers about mindfulness for children. Remember, it's very important that you learn yourself first. So one, you know what they are going through, and two, you will be prepared because they will learn faster, and then you will be prepared to be their companion in that process. Yeah. Hopefully we can bring the topic of mindfulness in teenagers later, and hopefully we can keep talking about mindfulness. Some people or some answers that I have had in the past is when I talk about meditation or mindfulness, somebody say, oh no, I am already Catholic, or I'm already so-and-so religion. I don't want to talk about another religion. Just to clarify, mindfulness practices, they are of breathing, of paying attention to your breathing. It has nothing to do, or has very little to do with religion. Probably came originally from religion. So was yoga. Yeah. So was so many other practices that help us spiritually. So, but if I say painting, you will not say, thank you, I am religious, I don't want to learn painting. Yeah. Or if I say journaling, or take your coffee slowly, calmly. Yeah. You probably will not answer me, no, thank you, I am Catholic, I don't want to learn that. So you can go for a walk slowly, you can eat slowly, you can just contemplate a beautiful garden, you can paint, you can journal. All of these are other ways of being mindful, to teach your brain to be mindful about living in general. It was fascinating to take this topic. Please leave your comments, send me your comments, send me everything. And of course, send me more topics. If you ask for topics, probably not immediately, because sometimes I need to keep finding the guests that will talk, but it will help me to find the correct guest to bring to the show, to the podcast. You will have this in Facebook Live, and you will have this in the podcast. I hope you enjoy as much as I did. And if you speak Spanish, once again, go back and listen to Lourdes. Is so beautiful and delightful to listen to her. And if you have questions, comments, etc., let us know. We are here for you. Thank you. And until the next episode. Bye for now.
We have ended one more episode of Emotions in Harmony. See you the next one, when Dr. Carmen Roman will help us to have a more fulfilled life, caring for ourselves and the ones we care for. Meanwhile, visit www.emotionsinharmony.com to see the show notes, subscribe, and enjoy more content.